Welcome, welcome, welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful school year. I'm very excited about this, and I'm ready to get it going. All right, so guess what? We are going to start off with Chapter 1.1, a little finding and describing patterns today. So let's get her going. All right, so our objective today is finding patterns and using those patterns to make predictions. So we're going to start off with 4 warm-ups. So what I want you to do is make sure you are writing these down in your notes and then answering them. All right? So write these 4 problems down and answer them. Take time now. Pause now. Take a look. All right. So now we are evaluating. Even that last one, we could even put evaluate down there just to make it all simple and easy, or we could have just taken all the evaluates out and just put evaluate once at the top for directions. That would have been easy. All right, could have done that, didn't. Okay. All right, so now looking at this, we are going to find the answer of 102.9 minus 34.7. One thing before I answer this question: if you have ever listened to that radio station, it is awesome. Why? Because it's country. Country music's awesome. All right, so we have 102.9 minus 34.7. When we subtract these by lining up our decimals, we get 68.2. Evaluating. Ooh, what do these little poles, I guess you could call them, what do those signify, or what do those mean? Those mean absolute value. Okay, absolute value of -4. Our answer is +4. Okay, -6 plus a -5. All right, the sign of the sum is the same, so our answer is going to be negative. And then we take those 2 digits, add them together, we get -11 as our answer. Okay, then we have 5 squared. 5 squared plus a -1 squared, so we have 5 times 5, which is 25, plus a -1 times a -1, which is a +1. Add those together, we get 26. First 4 warm-ups in the books. Good work. Alright, now it's time to get down to the real stuff, the nitty-gritty. Okay, notice that there is that beautiful yellow bar at the top, so please write this down. Okay, as I explain this. So it says describe the visual pattern. What you're going to be doing is looking at this pattern, and I want you to come up with a description. What is happening within these 4 shapes? I want you to figure out, what do you think is going on with these 4 shapes from start to end? What is happening at each step? All right. So I hope you came up with the answer, and we'll check to see if you are correct. If you notice this shape right here, what is a 3-sided shape? A triangle. Then we have a square, to a pentagon, to a hexagon. If you notice, you can look at the sides. Our sides, triangle is 3, square is 4, pentagon 5, and hexagon is 6. This pattern is going up by, or adding a side each step. So it adds 1 side each step. Okay? So your answer would be just that. Adds 1 side each step, or adds a side to each figure, or each previous figure. I'm just calling it steps to make it a little bit easier. Alright? Next one, we're describing the following patterns, and make sure this is where we write the next 3 patterns you expect. So you're writing the next 3 patterns. Figure out what is happening in that pattern. Find out what the pattern is, and then write the next 3 steps. Okay? So now we have, so I want you to pause now and try this answer. Now looking at this, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. If you look at that, we are adding 3 each step. So 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12. I could go on and on. I'm just going to add 3 each time. So I get 21, 24, and 27. Okay? Notice I went through each of these steps. I figured out what my pattern was, how did I get from the first one to the second number, from the second number to the third number to the fourth number, and so on and so on. Once I figured out that was the pattern was adding 3, I just did that to that very back one. Okay, now if we look at this next one, I go from 1 to 4 to 9, 16, 25, 36. Okay, if I look at this and I try to use that same pattern as I did before, how do I get from 1 to 4? I add 3. How do I get from 4 to 9? I add 5. 9 to 16, I could add 7. Okay, now I'm noticing I am just basically adding 2 on each odd number, right? Because on this one I'd be adding 9, then adding 11. Okay, but think of another way we could say that. That kind of sounds a little bit confusing. Okay, if I'm looking at these numbers, I'm 1, 4, 9, 16. What do those all have in common? They're squares. They're squares. I have 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 2. 3 squared is 9. Okay, and I have 4 squared, 5 squared, 6 squared, which means my next 3 numbers are going to be 7 squared, which is 49, 8 squared, which is 64, and 9 squared, which is 81. 81. Okay, so if I looked at that, I noticed all of those were my squares. So my pattern they were squares, and then I came up with the next 3 numbers that I would expect, which were 49, 64, 81. Alright, here's the last problem. The last problem on this one. Notice, we're describing and following this pattern and drawing the next 3 shapes. So essentially the exact same thing we did on that last slide. Again, we have our beautiful yellow bar. Please write this down and see if you can come up with it. Pause now. Alright, now we're going to describe this pattern and we're going to draw the next 3 shapes. Alright, I have a red arrow. Red arrow pointing up. I have a blue arrow pointing to the right. Then I have a red arrow pointing down. I'm noticing a couple of things. First of all, it's going red, blue, red. Okay, so that's one pattern. I know there's actually 2 patterns inside this. Red, blue, red, which means my next one has to be a blue arrow. Okay. Also notice that this arrow is rotating. We're rotating clockwise, so that up arrow is going to go to the right, then down. Then guess what? If we rotated it or kept going clockwise, we would have a blue arrow that would look like this. And it's not a bad arrow. Blue arrow shaded in. Okay. That would be pointing to the left. If I kept that pattern going, I now need a red arrow, and I almost start all over because I'd rotate that one more time to the right, and I get an up arrow. Okay, lastly, I'm going to end. I have red, blue, blue, red. Guess what? I'm going to have another blue arrow, and I'm going to keep the pattern going with it rotating clockwise to the right. Okay, so blue arrow to the right. So describe the following pattern. My pattern is a red arrow followed by blue arrow. This is going to be a long answer. Turning clockwise each step. Alright, and there's my answer. So, that's all I have for you today. Alright, chapter 1 is done. It's in the books. Come prepared for homework in class. Have a good day.